Okay, recording. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to my little jungle, I think is the name I decided on this this channel. This is my first video. I have nothing ready, nothing done, because I thought my first video was going to be a bigger introduction to me and my plants and my animals and all the things that I care for on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Maybe a wider shot to get more of this in there, but that's not going to happen today. I don't even know what kind of subscribers or what kind of outreach this is going to have, but this is something that I think needs to be said and a discussion that needs to be had. Recently, I went to a reptile expo up here in my area. They're relatively new, but they're growing. They have a lot of really great vendors. Everything from hots or venomous, non-venomous. I mean, ball pythons. I saw red-eye crocodile skinks up there, and that's something you normally only see at these bigger shows. So the proprietor of this show, the one that started this, is doing really well, and I'm very happy and very proud of him because it just keeps getting bigger and better. This was the fourth one that has been in my area. However, this one I'm seeing some things that need to be talked about when we go to expos and shows, both on the vendors and on us, on the people that are there visiting and purchasing and bartering and trading and whatever we do when we go to these things. One of the big things that really got to me, and I got to speak with the founder of this show, and he asked me if I had any suggestions or critiques, and I said absolutely. And my exact words were, you need to police people who are walking around with loose animals. Some people are bringing their animals to these shows, which you should not do for the health of your animal and the health of the animals at the show, of the vendors. You don't know what yours has that you're bringing in. You don't know what theirs might have that you're bringing home. It works both ways. It's not something that should ever be done, period, unless you have a emotional support alligator. And even then, I wouldn't suggest bringing it, The biggest one, though, is people buying their animals, buying new snakes and lizards and turtles and tortoises and everything else in between and walking around with them around their neck. One thing that really stood out to me, which is when I happened to be there with the gentleman that runs these, there was a woman with, now I have a boa constrictor, so I mean I know how hard it is to actually judge the size of them looking at them. Mine's anywhere between 8 and 9 feet long. This one was no less than 5 feet, I would say, just judging by the distance on her arm, neck, and forearm, down to her forearm. 5 foot boa constrictor, boa imperator, holding it in the lobby, all kind of people around. I'm under the assumption she had just bought it because there was a one of those canvas bags, in somebody's hand next to her, and the bag was a bigger bag and it was empty. So I'm assuming she had just purchased this there. She's showing it off, and there's 5 or 6 people around her. I'm assuming friends and family. And she turns to one woman, and the woman screams and jumps back, "Oh no, get it away from me." That gives the wrong, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the wrong idea, the wrong perception, okay? You've got this 5 foot snake and people are running scared from it at a reptile expo. Let's not even talk about the fact that there was an infant in somebody's arms not 3 feet from this boa constrictor. Now, we all know that they're not man-eaters, okay? Not all of us, the general public, and with fear-mongering in the media, really believe that they're man-eaters, but us keepers know that boa constrictor, or a boa constrictor and viridor are not man-eaters by any means. They're not going to eat an infant or a child or an adult. But it's a bad perception. Okay, somebody who's new to all this walks in and they see this woman screaming, running away from the snake with an infant 3 feet away from it. It doesn't look good at all. And then there were the ones walking with the bearded dragons on the shoulders and leopard geckos in their hands, just walking around the show holding it. And I'm not talking small children. There was a fair share of small children doing the same, but in that aspect, I hold the parent or guardian responsible for the child's actions because they're the adult. This kid wants to hold his pet, so buy the pet and get the hell out. That's all there is to it. Most vendors, if you talk to them, they will hold the animal behind the table for you for a reasonable amount of time. Now, if the show starts at 8 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. and you buy your leopard gecko at 8:30 in the morning, most might or might not have an issue with holding it 3-4 hours. However, there's probably a lot more that wouldn't have that issue. Yeah, we'll hold it for you. Here's your sales ticket. Come back when you're ready. We're leaving at this time. Please be here an hour before then, kind of deal. And that's got to stop. Just the carelessness of it has to stop. It just for health reasons, safety reasons. Talking to the gentleman that runs the show, I brought it up to him, and he agreed, and he said that next show he's going to have more people walking around policing this action because unlike the vendors who are required to have a liability insurance for this in case one of their animals bites somebody, the proprietor can't be sued. A person, the general public who just bought a reticulated python walking around and the snake lashes out because it's stressed and it's being tossed around and everything else, that bites somebody, well, now they're going to turn around and try to sue the proprietor, the founder of this, which is bullshit, especially since you would think most people know better. However, like the old moniker goes, common sense isn't that common. The second thing I want to touch on is vendors. There are a lot of great vendors out there. There's a lot of great breeders. There's a lot of great sellers. Flippers, if you want to call them. As much as we don't like them, they've got a place in this community. But what gets me is the ones that are just looking to sell, to push and push and push and sell. The kind of guy that you'll go buy a $20 Savannah monitor off of, and he will give you a extra large plastic critter carrier, the kind with the plastic top, and tell you that's okay, that's all he'll need, that's fine. And then they run into somebody like me at the lighting vendor, the guy that sells the heat bulbs and UVB, and asking, what do I need for this? And you tell them, and they just look defeated. Like they don't know what they're going to do with this animal now. And that bugs me. The guys that tell you a 20 long is good enough for a ball python are the ones that still push it only grows as big as the enclosure. I can't tell you how many times I hear that when people find out that I am an exotics animal keeper. It drives me absolutely crazy. It just drives me nuts. And this is where the conundrum is as customers, okay? Because really that's what we're going for. We are customers when we go. When we pay our admission fee, $5, $10, $20, whatever it is, get our hand stamped, go in, buy a water and some chicken fingers from the snack bar, we're customers. Where does our responsibility come into play? And I don't give a damn if you are a veteran keeper, somebody who's been keeping 25, 30 years, or if you're relatively new, let's just say brand new, but sensibly brand new, that you've went and you've done all your research and you've got your home set up and you know what you're going to get. You have an idea, you know what species you want to buy, and you've done all the legwork and the setup properly. And the person next to you is buying the same thing, and this vendor is telling them, oh no, a 10-gallon tank is good enough for a bearded dragon. That's a stretch. I know. We generally don't hear that. I think I've ever heard that ever. But in that, just for conversation's sake, if you hear the vendor tell this person they're getting a bearded dragon, oh, a 20 long will last them his entire life. But you know damn good and well that you've got a 4x2x2 arid bioactive setup ready to go for your bearded dragon to bring home. Where does our responsibility start and where does it end? I've got a big mouth, okay? In my line of work, I have a 40-hour-a-week job. In my line of work, we're loud, we talk, we speak out. It's part of my job. I've always been like that. Growing up, ever since I was a child through my teenage years and into my 20s, I've always been like that. I've always spoken my mind, and damn the consequences, So, in that aspect, I think it's our responsibility to inform this person, hey, before you buy that, a 20 long isn't going to last. You might get 3 or 4 months out of it. And then you're going to have to move on to something bigger and then move on to something bigger. And just talking to them about it sometimes is enough. But if they're dead set and they just think that you're wrong, you did your part. If the vendor's looking at you and you're contradicting everything you're saying that 100% is fact, is the way that, I won't say needs to be done, because all of our animals have different needs, but the argument that is universally accepted between keepers, then you've done your part. You can't do any more. If this person is bullheaded and this vendor is dead set on making a buck, you're not going to change their minds. It's better to walk off than get angry, because you've done your part. But in saying that, that's talking to the customer. When nobody else is around, if you want to, go back to this vendor and say, listen, you gave them bad information. I'm calling you out. Plain and simple. In my humble, if that's what you want to call it, opinion, sellers that just want to make a quick buck don't have a place in expos that are reputable or trying to become reputable. We don't want people that are going to bring down the environment, that are going to bring down our hobby, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to harm our quote-unquote hobby. That's another thing. I hate calling it a hobby, but just for this conversation and in this video, I'll refer to it as a hobby, because anybody that keeps anything knows it's not a hobby. It is a lifestyle. These animals take up a big part of our life, a big part of our finances, a big part of our love and devotion to them, to give them and maintain them, to give them everything they need. So, yeah, I have nothing scripted for any of this. I don't even have notes hanging on either side. I'm literally sitting in my office, and I don't even have the lights and the studio crap up that I bought, because I'm going to be a big YouTuber, And this is something that I just felt needed to be said and done. I'm hoping that I made my point, even though instead of going from here to here, I went this way. And yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing else really to say. If people don't bring your animals to expos. If you buy an animal, be prepared to leave shortly thereafter. And vendors, okay, quit trying to make a quick buck and get rid of animals knowing that you are giving bad advice and putting them into an unsafe living situation where they are not going to thrive or survive. Eventually, I will work on a video where I show off enclosures and plants and things like that. I mean, back here, that is, can you see that? That is a gargoyle gecko juvenile. In here is a day gecko, or not day gecko, cave gecko. And I know the glass needs to be clean. My throat's a little screwy. I've been sick for about 2 weeks now. Eventually I will get to that. These are tarantulas back here. The only one you can see is the green bottle blue. That is some macro photography I took of her eating with the big cricket in her mouth right there. That is Morticia. The next one is Gomez. The next one I don't have a name for. Gomez is a Brazilian black. And the unnamed one is an emerald skeleton, an Iwatwama, or however you pronounce it. So, I've rambled for 15 minutes. That's going to be all I really have to say. Just, let's watch out for each other. Let's try to correct things before they become big things. Look out for each other, be kind to each other, and let's, what's the word? I got nothing on that. Let's, yeah, let's just do that. Do what I just said, and let's just keep pushing positive knowledge to new and old keepers alike. And I'm not sure when I'll see you, but I'll see you soon. Thanks.